Hi, I'm Natalie and I have several rare conditions. I have two genetic conditions, one Ehlers-Danlos, one genetic hemochromatosis. I have a mast cell disorder and a autoinflammatory lupus syndrome, which is serum negative, which apparently is quite rare. The treatment and diagnosis journey was really difficult. For several years, something just wasn't quite right. I had stomach problems, inflammation in my joints, I was just heavily fatigued, I was developing all sorts of rashes. And all these conditions seemed to attack me at the same time or progress at the same time. So the Ehlers-Danlos, for instance, is a collagen issue. So the connective tissue in your body is too loose, too slack, so it can cause like perforations in your organs, dislocations, valve problems in your heart. And the autoinflammatory syndrome I have causes inflammation throughout my body, from my brain right through to my joints. So I've had a lot of difficulties in terms of some cardiac issues like pericarditis, valve problems, lung issues, pneumonias, swelling of the joints where it's particularly painful. And for me, it was really difficult to get a diagnosis because, as you can imagine, with all these different types of symptoms, there was never one solution, there was never one blood test that could identify what was going on. And obviously with the lupus syndrome being serum negative, it didn't show up in my blood. So for about 6 years, I was very, very poorly until a rheumatologist in London at the Lupus Centre realised that it was a lupus syndrome, and a physio noticed the severe hypermobility that I had in my joints, and an accidental iron blood test noticed that I had hemochromatosis because my iron was very high as well. Day to day, I never really know what's going to happen. Some days I can wake up and feel absolutely fine. Other days I can feel really rotten, really fatigued, really quite tired, or I can wake up with jaundice as the inflammation affects my liver as well. I wake up and I take around 16 medications a day, including immunosuppressants, steroids, blood thinners, a statin as well because I have high cholesterol and risk of heart disease, amongst other things, to kind of stabilise my mast cell problems. And it can be quite difficult because people don't generally understand that some days I just can't do what I used to be able to do, and other days I can be quite active. And I really have to pace myself with activities. Full-time work is pretty much out of the question because I will relapse if I push myself too hard. So I have to be really kind to myself, make sure I eat well, hydrate well, and really, really pace my activities and rest, or my body will make me rest. I think there needs to be a bit more understanding because quite often rare conditions are either just people have poor education, or I've never heard of them, therefore to some people they just don't exist, or people don't understand invisible illness, and that can come with all sorts of barriers in society or in work. And I think just demonstrating more kindness to people with chronic conditions and rare diseases, because you may not understand it, but for that person it's very real and they have to live that daily. I think people need to be made more aware in society. When I speak to people about some of the conditions I've got, they just look at me with a blank face because they've never heard of it. And I think campaigning and raising awareness of rare diseases just makes it a bit more familiar, more normalised in society. I think more awareness, people are going to fight for more research. More research benefits people in terms of diagnosis, cutting the time it takes to be diagnosed, and the treatments become more effective the more they're researched.